don't just limit rest to like not moving or not doing anything. Rest is also like, are you good with the people around you? Have you checked on them? If we weren't checking in on our people, every time we go to plan another retreat, all of a sudden there's a restlessness that'll pop up because we're like, oh crap, well, before we do this, we got to talk to this person. And what do you think what is that dynamic going to be like? Are they going to play well? No, like rest is in every facet. Rest is in the physical. Rest is in your heart. There's no way to shift into rest if you don't feel a shift. And feeling a shift is generally uncomfortable. If it is uncomfortable, probably means you're in the right spot.
Rejoice, for the light has come, and he is clothed in glory. Come alive, for the king is here. All the earth is responding.
Cle,
What's up?
what's been the highlight of your week?
Rest has been the highlight of my week, which is important. I think we underestimate rest. I've had a crazy couple weeks, and so just leaned into the moments of quiet.
What was the most memorable moment that you encountered rest? Like a significant amount of rest?
Actually, more recently, I have been in ministry since I was at least 18 or 17. Came out of high school. I was a ragamuffin knucklehead of a kid, got saved at kind of going into YWAM. And I was like 18 there, did YWAM for 4 years, and then came back home and immediately started working in ministry, and I've been doing that ever since then. And so since 2010, I've been doing this. And the time I would say I got like real rest was probably last year when I moved to Nash. Because it was the first time that I was able to kind of slow down and figure out what rest meant outside of like, rest is more than like just not doing things, you know, like, and I feel like for all of our friends that are in ministry world, like there's a lot of doing in church world because there's just a lot to do. It's not, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing or anybody's fault. There's just a lot. It's a big, church is it's a big, I was going to say like workhorse, but it's a big constantly going gear, and there's a lot of moving parts. And so I think it's easy to often find yourself in the doing. And then what happens is we have like the break, right? You get through New Year's or something, let's say, and you're like, okay, the New Year's here. I can take like 2 weeks before I got to start prepping for Easter. And I've found that we like connect rest and just like, hey, you're not doing anything. But it wasn't until I kind of stepped outside of doing vocational, like full-time, like working for a church type ministry, because ministry does not just stop because you're not working at a church. But that's another conversation for another day. But it wasn't until like I got here to Nash, and for context, when I moved to Nash, I really felt like the Lord had kind of given me the go ahead to say like, hey, I was kind of doing this half and half of full-time like music career and also full-time ministry, like pastoring career. And so I felt the Lord, give me the kind of go ahead to move into a season of doing just music full-time. So when I got here, I really and truly like stopped everything. Like I didn't do anything. I had tons of friends at churches around here. I didn't ask to go to not one. I would go in the back of a particular church. I'd sit in the back and just be. I'd come home and, do whatever we're doing in life, normal rhythms of life, but just be and really ask myself, like, who are you and what are you doing? And I feel like true rest, you can't figure that out unless you truly rest. And that doesn't come in like 2 weeks of like, hey, I'm not doing anything, so let me try and like sleep and get all the things done that I would normally do. No, like really when you can like sit and be with yourself and be okay with yourself, although it's probably the time you will most face all of your flaws and fears and dreams and things of life, although it's that all of that's happening simultaneously, it's also the time that you will find like the most rest. And so all that to say, for me, it was when I really like stepped away and took a moment to just figure out, it's not just about like what I was doing, but it just was like, hey, what does it look like to not go to the next thing? What does it look like to just be? What if there is no next thing? Can I still rest, or does that make me restless? So that's the one that pops in my head. That's the more recent.
Okay, so when you finally slowed down and you asked the questions of who am I and what am I doing, what did you hear?
It really wasn't. I say it wasn't deep. Sure, it's. I mean, to some it may be deep, but it's more that it was simple. It was just that you're you. You're not. Even though I moved to Nashville music, it's not about music. It's not about being a creative pastor or worship pastor. It's not about being the best trainer. It's not being like any of that stuff. Like, hey, are you okay with you? Just you. If I could never like sing again or play again, or the cliche thing, if you never done another thing for me, like, can you truly rest, like, and just be okay? That was my answer. It's not like, it wasn't like, hey, you are this blah 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 blah. And part of it is maybe because we, for we as in some of the folks that maybe have grown up around church and kind of know all the churchisms, I'm a child of God. That's great. But you don't really know that until you're like, hey, can you sit for a couple months and not do any of that and just be? Can you sit in silence? Can you not have the routine of life that kind of keeps you naturally coming to my feet? Will you just do that now in the silence of your room because you ain't got nowhere to go? And I had to kind of face that. And it was great. It was great. It was weird at first. It was weird. It was like, whoa, wait a minute. Because you realize how much of the routine kind of keeps you on a certain pace. And so it was nice to just sit down and be like, dude isn't the Lord. I don't know about y'all, but I talk to the Lord it's the big homie. Okay. So I was like, bro, it's me and you. It's me and you. I honestly could care less what else happens. It's me and you. And honestly, this has been one of the like best seasons for me. Like, to just slow down and just be.
You said weird at first, like it was weird
Yeah.
at first.
Oh yeah.
And I, in my own experience, know what you mean. Okay. Like, I'll just be honest. I know what you mean because of my own experience.
Yeah.
But for some people, engaging with weird is hard and challenging. And so if you were to encourage them as they encounter the potential weird, what would you tell them when they go, this feels a little strange? I don't know if I want to be here.
The fact that it feels strange and you don't want to be there probably means you need to stay there longer. Like, if it is uncomfortable, probably means you're in the right spot. As simple as that. Like, if you're able to, let's say you're in that position and you pull back and you feel like you're still in that same rhythm, that means you're probably still in the same rhythm, because pausing means pausing and rest means rest. There's no way to shift into rest if you don't feel a shift, and feeling a shift is generally uncomfortable. As with most things with the Lord, it's uncomfortable. You're not supposed to be comfortable. He's your comfort. And so I think if you're in that season, even if it's not that particular thing, but you're moving into a season where maybe the Lord says, pull back on things and just be with me, it's gonna be uncomfortable. And you should chase that miscomfort, because in the end, you realize, man, like that, it's you. Like, you're the only one that's in the midst of this. And it teaches you to lean on him more. Like, we lean on routine a lot. We can lean on, and I include myself, like, we can lean, and we as in, again, I'm speaking because I came out of this kind of constant, just full-time ministry stuff. Like, I'm speaking a little bit more to that, but anybody could probably find themselves in this. category along with myself, but like you find your comfort in the routine. You find your comfort in I know that although for some people it may be like, you got however many services and it's tiring, but it's also like your comfort if you're very honest. Like, man, 3 services tires me out, but it's also like I know it's there, I know what to do, I know.
Consistent.
But yeah, like we lean into that. So when you don't have that, it causes you to really ask, well, what was I leaning on? And what should I be leaning on? And so instead of leaning into that, I'd say lean into the uncomfortable. That's where you find him.
So for those of you who don't know, Cle is a part of our core team.
Gang, gang.
And that means a million things, to be honest with you. She is in everything. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's challenging. But she is in everything, right? And so I'm going to take the chance to be vulnerable and honest. We are probably going to have a semi-unplanned conversation where we just basically roll back things and talk like we would naturally talk. She already mentioned her relationship with God. I'll be honest about my relationship with God. I don't normally say like, hey, God, or Jesus, or Holy Spirit. I just start talking. And I also don't follow that up with an amen. And to me, it's a continuation of a very long conversation, just like the ones I have with my closest friends. And so with Cle and I, we typically don't really say like good morning or hello, or and we can talk late at night, early in the morning, in the middle of the day. Like it's just a continuation of things. And one of the things that I've been doing recently is trying to do internal work in myself and in Hymnal to identify core values. Mm-hmm. And because they will dictate what we do or we don't do, and how we do them. And I'm certain that over the years, I have been one to at times push up a mountain while simultaneously saying, I want to take all of you with me, while also simultaneously saying, we either need to go faster or we're going too slow or it's something in between.
Mount Everest, to be exact.
There you go. Yeah.
How big the mountain was.
Let's climb up the whole thing. And so there have been 2 things. I mean, there's a list, but the top 2 things that have shown up when I like search inward about our core values is sensitivity to the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. And the second is people first. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those things conflict. I would say often those things are rarely in alignment. Sometimes it's not at all the way we want to go. It's the opposite way. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I hear in this conversation is my own heart. Because last year was the first year that I was like, we're going to take 2 months off during the summer. And I remember when I said it to you, you're like, we're going to do what? We got a lot to do. And in my mind, I'm thinking, but 8 solid weeks means rest. And then this year came around and we've been in a very different rhythm for multiple reasons. And we get closer to the summer. And I remember talking to Josiah and saying, we're supposed to take 2 months off, right? And he said, I don't know that we're going to do that. And I was like, and to be honest, it created fear in my mind first, because I'm very aware that people can be overworked. And I'm very aware that as much as we try to be mindful of one another and even ourselves, a lot of us don't know when we're redlining. And so I was talking to another one of our close friends, BC, last night about it. And he's like, oh, I'll know. And I'm like, bro, none of us know. I don't even know. So like, I don't expect you to know if I won't know for myself. And the first fearful thought that I had was, man, I don't want this to wear us down. And then while you're talking, as much as we think about traditional music, we also can like find other things and make them a tradition. Mm-hmm. And so I was trying to make the exact time that we rest a tradition. Mm-hmm. Like it's every summer that we can count on this log clockwork for the consistency that you're talking about of, okay, we have these 8 weeks that we can count on where we don't have to do anything. And God's like, but there are a million different forms of rest. Yep. And so I will be honest, I'm getting rebuked while listening, while also communicating. I'm like, oh God, this thing. And so I want to speak specifically because we're people first. Because we are people first, it does mean that I try, and I'm not the best at it yet. I will not teach a masterclass on it, where it's like, let me see the people. Mm-hmm. Let me be aware to what they need and what they don't even know that they need yet. And then how do we adjust accordingly? And that does mean that we do things differently. Like this year, we've talked about a Christmas tour.
Whoop.
And when I'm doing these core values, I'm going, this Christmas tour can't look like everybody else's Christmas tour because I don't want to kill these people. And everybody else's Christmas tour might. So how do we adjust? And so I'm curious, Cle, as you've led in these various churches, the ones in Texas, the ones in Virginia and other places, how have you actually sought to care about the people that were in your care?
I think you got to be with them. I mean, just use the same example. Let's go before I do like church stuff, like hymnal. Like we could, we always have this in the same light of this conversation. Well, how many retreats should we do? How many, like what's tiring people out? And I remember this actually happened in one of our kind of core meetings. We're trying to decide, like, what does the year look like? Okay, well, maybe that's too much. Is that too much for people? Is that too much? Maybe it's too little, blah, blah, blah. And at some point, one of us were like, well, why don't we just ask them? Like,
it felt like such a revelation.
Yeah, like it felt like when really it's just like, no, just ask them. And so I use that example in the same light. Like when I lead teams, worship teams and creative teams, production, like, I just have to be with them. There's no way to know what to expect from people that you're not around, like, and I mean, that goes way deeper than this. I mean, that can go so many different avenues. And it wasn't like, I mean, take Jesus, right? Like, it wasn't like he was like, all right, I'm gonna be in this city and I'm just gonna like send it over there. No, he was like, we're going to the city. We're going to be with the people. I'm going to preach it to them and I'm going to heal them there on the spot. I'm going to be with them. And I think we need to just be with people, whether it's we're talking about teams or maybe it's just other things in life. Like, man, what is I wonder if my family would be offended by this, or maybe I'm too much. Just go be with them and ask them and have conversations. And so that would be I would say biggest thing, but honestly, my only thing. Start there and then ask the other questions, because being with people then informs everything else, Like you can't make a game plan for people and they don't even know what game they're in, so yeah, I'd say just be with them. And I think we've learned that. Still
we're learning.
We're learning. You heard me. The rebuke was quick. Learned and are continuing to learn. Like, don't do the guessing game. Ask the Lord and be with the people. And it's that balance that you were talking about, like sensitive to people. It's just, to me, being with them, but then also asking the Lord, because once you are with them, you realize, shoot, they don't know what they want. Sometimes it's like they don't know what they need, or they think they know what they need. It's like, ooh,
and it's the wrong
big old blind spot back here, So that's my immediate thought.
There have been several conversations we've had over the years that have been mind-blowing to me. And one of those conversations was about you. And I told you about it. It was with Josiah. And we were doing production stuff. And Josiah was like, well, why don't you ask Cle to come to this meeting? And you were still working at the church in Texas. Okay. It's a big church. And I was like, she doesn't have time for that. She didn't have time to add another meeting to her schedule. Yeah. And I was like, Josiah, I don't know that she'd do that. And as soon as I asked you, you're like, yeah. And Josiah was like, I told you should just ask her. But that proves I didn't know. And I'm trying to be mindful, be sensitive to you, be thoughtful about it. And I'm even coming to the wrong answers on your behalf, thinking I'm being helpful by not adding it. But really, I was in the way. I'll be honest about it, versus just saying, hey, she has her own voice. She can speak to it. Yeah. And then there was another time that I will never forget, that we had this core meeting.
I think I know.
The phrase is infinite
I
resource,
knew you were
right? The phrase is infinite resource.
Yes.
And I'm saying that those inside, I'm not going to say more than that, but those inside know what I'm talking about. And what I love most about it is the person who had made this comment is the least confrontational person that we have. Mm-hmm. But it took that phrase that I will never let go until I die, go to heaven and tell Jesus, infinite resource. There's this phrase that you need to know. And what I love about it is it allowed that person to show another side of them. So when we come to other seasons of challenge, they don't have to shy away and they can just go, no, this is what I'm thinking, which is beautiful. But I will also say we've encountered moments where it's not felt the greatest. There was one time, maybe a year and a half ago, you're always talking in your car, so that's not a good reference point for you. And we were talking and you said this thing that was like, for me, you're like, we've never been in this season before.
Oh, yeah.
And so none of us know because we've never been here before. And I've tried to remind myself that at least once a month of, this is great. We've never been here before. This is great. We've never been here before. And that's my way of trying to say, I feel like for me with hymnal, sometimes I think of it as a garden. Other times I think of it as a mountain. Other times it feels a lot like we're building on land that we didn't ask for and I don't know why he gave us. Other times I want to look at it and have it be like more mystical, like we're in outer space and none of us know where we're floating to. But the truth is, at every turn, none of us really know the right answer. We're just trying to listen clearly and respond to what we think we hear. Yeah. And the truth is that when we hear it, we're normally going to each other going, what do you think about what I think I heard? What do you think about what I think I heard? Like, which is really cool when it comes to like the worship spaces that we have.
Yeah.
Because we recorded this live project in Ohio and literally without y'all knowing it, and you're not like looking at each other going, did you hear this? Y'all start singing the same things that bounce around, just like this conversation about rest, where it's like, 4 minutes before we started, God was like, let's talk about rest. Let's see what happens. And then you on your own go, well, this rest thing. And I'm like,
all right.
And I know not, probably this sounds super spacey to you, but trust me, if you don't know what we're talking about, I don't think you want Jesus in the middle of your ish as much as he's in ours, because he's always like, step to the left. I'll tell everybody, if you step to the left, you want me to tell your business. And so for me, I look at it and I go, because we're people first, it means the people that are closest to me and my family, in hymnal, outside of hymnal, I want to make sure that my relationships with them are right first. Mm-hmm. So before we record a project, before we go to a retreat, before we plan a Christmas tour, before we record a podcast, I'm trying to check in with everybody around me going, we good? Mm-hmm. Jason, we good? Josiah, we good? Cle, we good? Bethany, we good? Caleb, we good? BC, Tommy, so forth and so on, because that's really the lifeblood of this.
That's also rest. If you're not good with your brother, your sister, you're going to be restless. There's absolutely no way. And it goes, just as you're talking, I'm like, it's back to what you were saying. I was thinking it and you said it, so I'm glad that you did. But like, we look at rest as like the one facet that I was just talking about, where you kind of pause but it's also like rest in your mind, like rest in your heart. Like there's so many different facets of rest. And so to loop it all into what we're saying now, like, don't just limit rest to like not moving or not doing anything, or rest is also like, are you good with the people around you? Have you checked on them? Because then every single time that if we weren't good, like if we weren't checking in on our people, every time we go to plan another retreat, all of a sudden there's a restlessness that'll pop up because we're like, oh crap, well, before we do this, we got to talk to this person. And what do you think what is that dynamic going to be like? Are they going to play well? No, like, rest is in every facet. Rest is in the physical. Rest is in your heart. Have you said, do you have any unforgiveness? Do you have, any of that? Yeah. Rest is in your mind. Are you anxious? Are you like, rest is in everything. And so I just want to throw it in there. Like, as you were talking, like rest is in every part, and we make it, I think we do a good job, and we do a good job, but to give kudos, like I think it's through just you're very sensitive to it. And so we do a good job through your sensitivity and obedience of just like, make sure you're resting in every aspect, not just in doing, in being.
I'll be honest. There was a pastor years ago who told me I was sensitive, and he wasn't saying it in a good way. He was saying, oh, you're sensitive. You should be like burlier and more brisk around it. And it was like so offensive at the time that I wanted to reject sensitivity. So even when you're saying that now, I'm having to remove that part of me and go, oh, that part of me is also not causing me to rest. I guess I got to set that aside. And so what I would add in conjunction to what she's saying is like, there are bad words that are spoken with good intention, with neutral intention, or even with bad intention. And sometimes those things, as you encounter other people talking to you, will also cause you not to rest. Because when you said it, I was like, oh, there's that word. Oh, I guess, well, guess we're going to practice spiritual removal in front of all of you. And what I would say is like, rest actually can be applied to every area of your life. Because I will be honest, some of us hope to make it to 65 so that financially we can rest and go, oh, the money that I've set aside all of these years, let me rest here. Years ago, when I worked at a church in Atlanta, and my parents didn't tell me this, for a long time afterwards, they lived about 2 hours away, and I would drive down to their house, and as soon as I would get there, I'd go to sleep. And it's because it's because I lived with guys from the church. And so to me, I could never find rest until I was at their house. And I didn't even realize it, but my body realized it, because as soon as I got there, I wasn't even saying like, hey, how are you? It's good to see you. I would immediately go to my bed and go to sleep. Yeah. And then hours later, wake up and come out like a different person. And it was because for me, their home became, I'll use the term that we use, like a safe haven. And so when you come to a retreat, to be honest with you, and I say it in various spaces, what we're trying to create at the retreat and what we're trying to create in Hymnal is like safety. Yeah. And when I talked to Josh Bizzle earlier, we were talking about safety, and it's a deep value that I have because I didn't have it when I was in my 20s. Yeah. I was working in this church that was booming. The pastor was amazing. He was charismatic, a good teacher, all these things. He was like 6'5", light skin, curly hair. Like he had all the boxes checked, right?
6'5", light skin,
curly master's hair. Degree, no kids out of wedlock. I mean, literally, never been to jail. He got the package, right? And so
never been to jail. It's crazy. I mean, he's 6'5", light skin, and never been to jail.
Yeah, he had all the things, right? And while we were doing that, there was so much unrest in me. Yeah. And so for me, what I'm trying to create here is like, I didn't have a Cle or a Angelica or Kristen or Brittany or Bethany to pull on, or Chase or Tyler to pull on and say, hey, I have this creative idea. Nobody here gets it. Will you work it out with me? That way I can show them the idea and maybe they'll be more on board. And the same way I didn't have somebody to go, I hear how you're talking about your staff members. Have you ever thought that maybe you don't love them? Like maybe you just like them and you tolerate them. Loving would be you got to die to yourself so that they can also exist with you. Maybe you're not loving them well.
Philippians, think of others higher than yourself.
And I also never had anybody who I could go, I had this horrible staff meeting, and the way that they talked to me made me feel like I was a piece of, and nobody to speak life back into me to counter that. And so what I'm trying to create, what we're trying to create here, is a place where you can find your people. Because you'll see a song that Cle performs called So Much More. What you see in her doing that song is she's speaking her own heart language, and it's being translated through music. A pastor who just goes and studies theology and then goes on to become an associate won't understand that language unless they're a musician, because that's not their first language. It's just not their thing. And so what I'm trying to do is go, hey, Cle's a songbird. Beast is a songbird. Daniel's a songbird. Bethany and Michaela, we're all songbirds. What if we get the songbirds together and then they speak their own language to each other? Maybe they will feel less isolated, less like they're in a foreign land because they found their people. And so if you feel like no one's speaking your own language and you feel tired and restless because you haven't found someone to speak your language, you don't have to come to a retreat we have to find these people. Just send a DM, send a text message, email info@Hymnal Records or Daniel@Hymnal Records. My heart is that we just connect you. What God does through those connections is up to him.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I think that's the beautiful thing about what we do. And like, even our retreats, let's say, like we always say, like, yes, we call it the hymnal writing retreats, but even if you come and to your point, your story, like maybe you come and you take like the best nap you've taken in months, maybe even years. I mean, same story in my life, just not at church. This was just life. My childhood was intense and crazy. It wasn't until like my later 20s ish that I really found like a real moment of rest. Like I got into therapy, and I remember telling my therapist, like, man, I'm just so, and I'm making like great strides in like communication and digging up all this craziness from what happened throughout my life. And I remember telling her, like, man, I'm just so tired all the time now. And she's like, it's not that like you're overworked tired. She's like, I think this is the first time that you've spent all this time, like if it was a closet, like holding that stuff in the moment that it was all allowed to come out. Now your body, your mind, your soul is like, okay. And you're not like, you don't realize it, how everything is connected. But she's like, you're finally finding a little like reprieve, a little rest. So you're tired just because like your body can finally allow you to be tired instead of constantly running to the next. Oh, gotta hold this thing. Oh, gotta do that thing. Oh, closet open. Oh, that triggered me. Oh, the closet's open. Like it's just this constant thing. And so I say that to say and tag it. You can tag his life story too. Like even if you come to the retreat and you sleep for a day and you have not really like slept like safely, like to that point, like that's what we're there for. It's not to write songs. Yeah. Songs will come. There's lots of people writing songs, and we will eventually do it at some point in life. But it's more to find, it's safe hate. We literally call it like haven because it is meant to be, it's creative haven, a place of safety. It's on a shirt by me. Buy it. I'll send it to you.
She did design it. I will say that. Yeah.
But yeah, like it's meant to be restful. It's meant to be safe. It's not meant to do anything other than that. Everything else that does happen, and it will happen, is out of the overflow of safety. Songs come out of, I feel safe enough with these people to be creative.
Yeah.
Whatever newly produced or our one shots that you see on YouTube, like all of that happens, but it's because you find safety in a community and you're like, you know what? I actually have this really weird thing about being on camera, but I really like you guys and you make me feel like I'm amazing. So sure, let me try this thing. And just like that, you've unlocked years of trauma in somebody's life from somebody telling them they can't sing, you know? And that's the goal. That's the point.
The God of all promises, you're more than just able. I'll hang on every word you say. You're the brilliant creator. Yes, you're God of all promises. You're more than just able. I'll hang on every word you say. You're the brilliant creator. Forever you're patient. Forever you're good. Forever your word is so faithful and true. Forever you're patient. Forever you're good. Forever your word is so faithful and true. God of all promises, you're more than just able. I'll hang on every word you said. You're the brilliant creator. You are the God of all promises. You're more than just able. Oh, I'll hang on every word you said. You're the brilliant creator. Forever you're patient. Forever you're good. Forever your word is so faithful and true. Forever you're patient. Forever you're good. Forever your word is so faithful and true. you do. For every word is so faithful and true. Whatever you promise, we know that you'll do. We know that your word is so faithful and true. And I will remind my soul of every victory won. I'll remind my soul there's so much more to come. I'll remind my soul of every victory won. I will remind my soul there's so much more to come. There's so much more to come. Oh, there's so much more to come. There's so much more to come. 'Cause whatever you promise, I know that you'll do. Because your word is so faithful, forever it is true. Oh, whatever you promise, my soul, it knows that you'll do. Forever faithful, your word has always been true. So I will remind my soul of every victory won. I will remind my soul there's so much more to come. I'll remind my soul. Yes, I will remind my soul. Yes, I will remind my soul in every valley comes. I'll remind my soul even on mountain tops. I will remind my soul of every victory won. I'll remind my soul there's so much more to come. There's so much more to come. There's so much more to come. So much more to come. Because forever you're faithful, forever you're good, forever your word is so faithful and true. Forever you're patient, oh, forever you'll be good. Forever your word is so faithful and true. You are faithful and true. You're faithful and true.
The other thing that I love most about what we get to do is that we get to spend time around each other. The other tragedy about what we get to do is that we get to spend time around each other, right? And so we will travel, for instance. Yeah.
Two-edged sword.
Yeah. We traveled to Washington State about 2 years ago. And apparently I don't mind traveling at a faster pace than people. And there was, 7 or 8 of us? Yeah. And at some point, some of y'all looked at me and said, I am so tired. Why are we doing all these things? Bro? What are we doing? And I never want to leave people. I always want to bring them with me. But that is what is informing also the Christmas tour. Because I'm like, the pace of that wasn't a pace that we could sustain and actually like, right? And like each other, right? And to me, I want us to like the experiences that we're having while liking the time that we're spending together, so that we will want to create more of those moments for us, even if they're not on camera, even it's literally like, heck, you and I talk about all the time. Let's go out of the country together. And these folks with kids and spouses, I get it. You might not be able to do that. It'd just be me, Cle, and somebody else, right? Like me, Cle, and Bethany. It will just be the 3 of us. You know what I mean? Oh, and Caleb. Caleb said last night he is free to travel out the country without his spouse.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. And so for me, I want us to move at a pace that allows for good life interaction.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not well stated. Maybe it won't be on a website that way. But one of the things that I do believe that we're going to try to grow in as it communicating to the community beyond an email. And so I'm taking this episode to say rest is really important to us because you are really important to us. And so if you ever come to any of our spaces, be it online or at a retreat, and you feel like, man, these people put a lot on the schedule, I can tell you that probably will continue. But I will tell you, as a guide to those retreats, just like Cle is a guide, just because it's on the schedule doesn't mean you have to participate in it. There are things that happen in the retreat that are scheduled that way because people typically in the cities that we go to also have jobs. So maybe their job is at a church and their church will only allow them to be there from 8 to 3 because they're actually able to come. And you're like, I need to sleep at 8 o'clock and I need to miss this other thing. That can be their entry point to experience our community and what we're building. And you can rest. Just like this past retreat, there was a beautiful girl who came all the way from Sweden from the retreat.
Oh, yeah.
And literally she was sick the first 3 days. And she flew all the way across the world to come. And I'm like, it's so wild how God works. The first time we've seen you this whole retreat is at the worship night on Wednesday. Like, it's wild to see you on Wednesday. But it's also like, but you were there to rest. Yeah. And then you were there at the retreat as much as God wanted you to be. And that's also great. You know what I mean? And so I will tell all of you, don't ever feel the pressure to do everything that's on our schedules, because I will be honest with you. At some point, I will walk out to the car and come back an hour or 2 hours later because I need to rest.
Many times
that
I will veer off our schedule. All right, well, you do that. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to go sit down and take a breath.
And so know that we love you.
Yes.
And this is Cle. She is one of the most beautiful souls around. She is also the most creative person probably in our community. And I'm just glad that we get to do life with you, Cle.
I'm glad to do life with you and our community. We have an awesome community, man. we have an awesome community.
All right, peace. See you on the next one.
Deuces.
Rejoice, for the light has come.